All right, good evening and welcome to the first ever, one of many, RISE committee. Very excited to have representatives of our community and our family here. This will also be the first time and last time that I start this committee, because today we'll vote for a chair and a vice chair ultimately to lead through the processes. My name is Ryan Carpenter. I serve as the superintendent for the Estacada School District. This is my 7th year serving in this position and my 17th year inside the Estacada School District. I moved here as well as with my family, and so I live here. My children attend here. I taught some people who are a part of this committee, and so excited to have just such a great representation of people who are from here, people who have lived here for decades, as well as people who are new to our community. And that's the purpose of our RISE committee, is to really provide a second set, a different lens to make sure that this school district truly represents its entire population and is a school district that stays anchored to the mission, vision, and values that represents what makes Estacada great. The purpose of the RISE committee is twofold. The first is this group of people who are serving in this I want to say sentence, but it's not that. People who are serving in a term.
It's a paragraph.
Yeah, absolutely. A sentence is the paragraph. People serving this term is ultimately a recommending body to the elected school board of directors. And so our intent is, prior to things going to the school board for approval, such as policy, budget, and various other things that require school board approval, we'd like to run many of these things through our RISE committee to make sure, one, there's just a second set of eyes on there to make sure that we're touching the representation of everybody. And one of the things that our school district, in my opinion, has been fundamentally weak in is really having different subgroups of committees to be able to specialize and look in certain things as an opportunity to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can. You know, city municipalities have multiple committees. I personally serve on the Economic Development Committee, and I serve on the Planning Commission. I serve with Commissioner Cross on that as well. And so cities are really good at having multifaceted groups that then recommend to the city council. School districts in general are pretty weak in that area, where really it's just the school board and the budget committee, and there's not really any other processes. And so I personally am very excited to have a different set of eyes to look at our things, to make sure what we're doing aligns with those vision and values inside of that. As we go through the agenda, and you do have an agenda here in front of you, I'd like to just take a couple of minutes, one, for you to introduce yourself to other committee members and citizens in the room. But at the other time, you know, obviously this is going to be a public record meeting. It will always be live streamed and recorded. We have people watching us right now, even as we speak. We've got great community members who keep a very close and watchful eye and supportive eye on our school district, as they rightfully should. And so I'd love for you to take a moment to just go around, introduce yourself, maybe how many years you've lived inside our community, and you don't have to name your children, but if you have any children in the school district, that would be great as well. We'll start over here with Helena.
My name is Helena Snyder, and my family and I moved here in 2017. And at that time, we had 3 in the schools, and currently we just have 1 junior left, so.
Very cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is David Cross. I moved to Estacada in 2007. My eldest daughter went to Estacada High School, and she's now in college, and then my youngest daughter is a junior, and then I have 2 toddlers who will finally graduate in 2041. So I have a long-term interest in the quality of the school and the education.
Yes, you do. Thank you very much. Daryl?
I'm Daryl Andrews. We've been here since 2021. Okay. We came from Texas and moved up here. I'm a nurse at the VA hospital. And we have 1 in middle school, 2 in elementary, and then we got a preschooler.
Very cool. So you have a long-term interest as well.
Yeah.
Yep, very cool. Nicole?
I'm Nicole Andrews, married to Daryl Andrews, so I will just ditto everything that he said.
Awesome.
My name is Chelsea Mena. I am born and raised local Estacadian. I am joining this basically because I have two toddlers, Luis and Mila, and they will eventually also be going to Estacada schools. So I think it's really important to just make sure everybody in our school has equal opportunity.
Very good, thank you.
My name is Addie Zur. I moved here, I think, in 1990. My parents came over here from Mexico and lived here ever since. We bought a house here, and I have 3 children, 6th grade, 1st grade, and my son will start preschool this year. So I want to be involved, and I'm very want to be active with what their school district is doing, and hopefully be able to be a positive influence for them going through the school system and everything.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you very much. Very good. I really appreciate that. I'd like now to pause to allow the committee to ultimately run the remainder of this meeting, because this is a citizen-comprised committee, and so ultimately you are in charge of this committee, and ultimately I work for you, as does Maggie and Danny. And maybe Danny, would you mind introducing yourself as well?
Of course, my name's Danny Randall, and I'm the community liaison with the district. On top of that, I'm also a mom with 2 students in the district, but I'm excited to be a part of this good work that you guys are doing. Thank you for being here.
Very good. And Danny will also be keeping public record minutes and notes, as we will also be subject to public records requests and other things that come along with that. And we want to make sure we do a good job with documentation and our ability to communicate our work in progress to not only the executive board of directors, but to the community at large as well. And Maggie.
Hi, Maggie Kelly, Director of Communications for the district. I've been corresponding with all of you in regards to this meeting, and you'll either usually talk with myself or Danny, or of course Superintendent Carpenter, as we move throughout your term, and proud Estacada resident as well.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we need to elect a chair and a vice chair. These terms will last exactly 1 calendar year, effective now through, correct?
We also need a budget committee liaison, so this person will serve on this committee and on the budget committee as well.
Okay, very good. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to all of you to see if anyone is interested and or willing to serve as the chair.
I'll do it.
Okay, so Chelsea has volunteered. We need to get a second for that. Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Chelsea, are you willing and able to serve as the chair?
Yes.
Since you volunteered, that's a definite yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe, we'll see.
Very good. And so there's a motion on the table, so all those in favor, please say aye and raise your right hand.
Right?
Aye.
Okay, and the motion carries. And Chelsea, from this point, you get to take over the meeting
Oh,
to
lovely.
lead your first vote in selecting a vice chair.
Okay. Any volunteers for vice chair?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, cool, thank you. What was your name?
Nicole.
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 Awesome.
I'll second Nicole.
Anybody else? Right hand if you're in favor for Nicole.
Aye.
Right.
Okay, motion carries.
My wife would kill me if I volunteered to be another chair of another.
Yeah, for sure. Very good. Okay, well, congratulations. As the RISE committee, you just made your first 2 decisions, and they're big ones. And so a very good job. And so then Chelsea, next we need to lead the selection for someone to serve and represent the budget committee. I will tell you, in case you need help or support, Helena Snyder currently is on the Budget Committee. But if there's any additional people that would like to be on that, the more the merrier, that's for sure. I think we're 3 people short, so if someone different wants to put their name in the hat for that, they're welcome to do that as well.
I don't mind putting my name in the hat.
Okay.
For the Budget Committee
Okay?
and/or Budget Liaison.
Yeah, it's both, 2 jobs.
Right.
Okay, Chelsea, you need a second for that, and
Oh.
then,
I second.
I second. Anybody else? Okay, everybody in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
okay.
Congratulations. What was your name again?
David Cross.
David. Thanks, David.
Okay, so Chelsea, you can start now
Yes.
moving us through the agenda, and so
Oh,
you can
great.
just say we're going to number 2, and Maggie will take it from there for you.
Okay.
All right, so we have brought everyone together to really have a first meeting tonight and then discuss how we'd like to move forward with the RISE committee. But as Superintendent Carpenter mentioned, this is an advisory committee, so what you'll be doing is primarily meeting with each other and with Superintendent Carpenter to review data, budget decisions, student academic achievement, and big decisions that happen throughout the district, and provide your input and advice, and then Superintendent Carpenter will act as a liaison to the school board, pass along that information, and you'll be able to serve as an advisory body that will really have a pretty powerful impact on the decisions that we make and helping shape those decisions in a way that really reflects all students. And I've included a copy of our strategic plan for some light reading for all of you as we move forward in your term, because you will be acting in alignment with our strategic plan, and really our biggest focus is ensuring the success of all students. And one thing that we're really big on in this district is continuous improvement, and that means that we are looking to celebrate what we do well, but also acknowledge and find barriers that we might have in place to student success, and coming together and working to address those barriers and acknowledge the barriers that we have in place. So that is kind of the purpose of the RISE committee. What that will look like for you is a monthly meeting, and I would love to talk with you more about what meeting schedule works for you. Ideally, we will have one more meeting in June. We'll take July off, and then we'll start back up in August and really begin the work in earnest in August as we start the new school year. You'll serve for 2 terms, and then we'll have a re-election process at the end of those 2 terms. So monthly meetings, and of course, if you have any concerns, conversations that you'd like to have in the interim, Danny, myself, and Superintendent Carpenter are happy to field any requests that you have. We'll make ourselves available to you at any time. But these meetings are public meetings and a really powerful opportunity for you to have conversations that impact our schools. Does anyone have any questions about the logistics of this moving forward?
A practical question, are the Roberts Rules of Order applicable, and do we have the problem with a quorum? Like if 4 of us met together, would that become a public meeting?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep, so being an official committee and you fall under the board committee, which means that you are truly a voting body. And so if there's some type of party or something where 4 or more of you are a part of, that becomes problematic for us. And so you do need to work as individuals when talking about district business and that as well. I would like us to follow the Roberts Rules of Order and try our best to be as formal as possible through the process. We want to model what right looks like, and we want to model professionalism, but we'll also take some time to make sure everyone is trained on that, and mistakes are perfectly okay too. And so, but I would like us to get to a spot where we're working as a full functioning board. Yep.
Okay.
A couple of other just quick meeting norms that we wanted to go over is reminding everyone in upholding confidentiality and respecting the voices of others, letting everyone at the table speak, and then additionally, being mindful of the fact that you are representing the community's collective voice, not just personal interests, and just moving forward thoughtfully with that. And if you have any questions on how to navigate that, again, we're happy to be a resource, but wanting to make sure that we represent every voice well at this table.
And then the explanation of why the committee was formed, did we do all of that? Are we on the vision and values?
Yeah, so this committee was formed in alignment with Senate Bill 732. This is a legal requirement for Oregon schools, but also we think it's an important and very needed committee in our district in acknowledgement of serving all students. So we're happy to bring this together and to continue to move this work forward over the upcoming school years. So in alignment with that bill and in acknowledgement of a real need in our schools. And then expected contributions to district efforts, again, to serve as an advisor to the school board to provide the collected voice of the community and represent the community's needs. And really that looks like committed attendance to these meetings, communicating with us. If we are really committed to removing barriers, if you need something to make it possible to attend these meetings, we're happy to have those conversations with you, but just regular attendance at these meetings and then communicating with us if there is data that you need or information in order to help inform the decisions that you make. We are a very data-driven district. We are happy to give you any information to help inform really good conversations here at the table. So keep it open lines of communication and good attendance at these events. Yeah.
You know, one of the things I'd like to propose, which we haven't talked about yet, but I think something that we should probably do, is to set you all up with district email addresses so that I can give you regular communication either throughout the week or the month of big things that are coming up or big decisions that the district is working through. And in addition to that, I think to have a school email, because you'll be on our website as well, and there may be some occasions where citizens want to reach out to you to be able to communicate some things of that nature. And so just being on the website and being represented and having a link where people might feel more comfortable going through the RISE committee than to the board or to me or to something of that nature might be an effective approach too. So we will get you set up on that, and I'll teach you how to work Google Chat because that's kind of our internal messaging processes to make sure that you're all up to date on that.
Fancy.
That'll be our homework assignment for the next one. Okay.
Awesome. The visions and value for equity in our schools is the next thing.
We've
on our-
covered most of that, but again, please review our strategic plan when you have the opportunity to do so. We take seriously upholding our goals and holding ourselves accountable for how we want to serve students, but this work should be in alignment with our mission, vision, and values. And our mission is to serve all students, and that means every single one of our students. And that's where this committee really comes into play and where we're looking forward to collecting your voice.
One of the first big pieces of legislation that we're going to be presenting to you first before it goes to the board will likely be in August. But this summer, our organization plans to do a complete rewrite and overhaul of our student management handbook, and that's discipline, consequences, procedures, all of those types of things. And right now we're working with some attorneys and we're working with the Oregon School Boards Association and some others. And so we hope to bring you the first draft of that in August. And so that'll be the first really big piece. And we'll make sure that we give you some advance notice so you have the opportunity to read that, take a look at it, and ask questions and provide feedback. But that would be one example and the first example of one of the big things that this committee will really have some responsibility over.
Right. Do you guys want to talk about the budget?
Yes, in fact, let's do that now. Can I do my presentation now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
I've got a good one for you. It's going to take about 25 or 30 minutes, but being a new part of our committee, I really wanted to take some time and opportunity to really just kind of catch you up to speed with where we're at and what we're doing right now. This time of year in all school districts is a very, very busy time of year. We're right in the middle of state testing right now. We've just completed our budget, and it passed through the Budget Committee, and the board will be voting on that budget. In fact, in Salem, just today, they finally voted and locked in the state funding, which is at $11.36 billion, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So we landed right on budget with what we predicted Salem would be. And just to clarify, we don't get $11.36 billion. We just get one tiny piece of that pie. And so I'll be talking to you a little bit about that as well. But state testing and budget, we're also down the home stretch of a full-blown teacher's contract. We're in the process of developing a 4-year contract for our certified teachers, classroom teachers, counselors, people who fit that description, and that's been a very big process as well. And so I'm hoping to kind of update you on that as well today. But those have been all very time-consuming, high-stress, high-stakes processes that we've been working through. And you may have heard a thing or two about the reconfiguration process that we're also just getting started in as well, which has also been a major community effort with a lot of various opinions about what that looks like. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as well today. And so my goal really to catch you up to speed with the work that's occurring in our district is threefold today. Our budget, where we're at in alignment with our strategic plan, as well as to talk about reconfiguration in hopes that you'll be deeper educated after this presentation. So as I just shared with you, the governor's budget was the one that was accepted in Salem literally today, this afternoon, at $11.36 billion for state school funding. That's every school throughout the state of Oregon, public school. Estacada is going to receive $69.5 million of that $11.36 billion. But I do need to mention or point out that the Estacada School District is also the sponsor of the third largest charter school in the state of Oregon called Summit Learning Charter. And they're housed in our Eagle Creek Elementary School. They have 1,400 kids right now, and they're also the #1 highest achieving charter school in the state of Oregon. So we're very proud of our partnership and very proud of our support for this very new school approach to parent choice and school choice and all of those things. But Summit Learning Charter gets $20 million of the $69.5 million. And so the dollars follow where the kids go. About 8% of the 1,400 kids who go to Summit actually live in our district. Everyone else at Summit is in Medford, in Baker City, in Portland, in Gresham. And so we're really collecting a lot of revenue from a very big charter school who really educates kids throughout the state of Oregon. And it's been a very good process. But really, Salem gives us the money, but we're legally required to just pass the money through us to Summit Learning Charter. So our actual budget for our K-12 process is more like $40 million in terms of operating budget. This $69.5 million budget is a $2 million increase from the current budget that we're running this year, or roughly a 3.2% increase that we plan to utilize next year over this year. When people wonder where does $40 million go, 83% of it goes to people. It's the people that we hire to educate our children, support our children in special education, obviously our administrators, etc. We also have a fund called our transfer fund, which represents about 2% of the overall budget. But these are the things that we pay for food, for transportation, capital construction. I was sharing with a few earlier before the meeting started that we just realized as we were replacing the roof on the high school gym that we found wires in there where the neutral wires are hot and the hot wires don't work. And there's evidence of multiple electrical fires that have occurred since 1965 in that roof. And so, that was an unexpected thing that occurred in the construction process. And so it's our capital construction funds that ultimately pay for these things. And right now, we have about $700,000 in that fund, and that's just to help, pay for the things. But, as you look around all of our buildings, $700,000 does not get us very far in the things that we need to do to ultimately upgrade our facilities. And so we run pretty lean when it comes to being able to replace things. Our curriculum, when we just purchased language arts curriculum 2 years ago, we're purchasing our health curriculum this year, and I believe next year is science is the curriculum that we're required to purchase. And then, of course, tech replacement. Every kid has a Chromebook. You'd be amazed to believe what damage gets done to Chromebooks through the process, and so that's an expensive endeavor, but it's absolutely vital for today's learner and working through that process. One of the things that's a hot topic across the country, and it's no different here in the Estacada School District, is class size. And so I wanted to share with all of you how the Estacada School District creates its class size ratio and how we really start any funding process. So I told you we're going to get about $40 million this year. The very first thing we do when building a budget is ensuring that we can have a good manageable class size, and we've got classroom teachers in there to support that class size. So at the elementary schools, we have a 25 student to every 1 teacher ratio. So if you follow along with me, we project next year that Rivermill Elementary School will have 510 students. And so if you took 510 students divided by 25, that tells us we need 21 classroom teachers to budget for next year. That is 2 more teachers next year than we currently have this year, which really talks about the growth that continues to come into the Rivermill Elementary School boundary. Clackamas River Elementary School is projected to have 402 students in it next year. 402 divided by 25 equals 16 classroom teachers. And that's down from where they were this current year. One of the things I also just wanted to share with you is that we already have projected incoming kindergarten numbers for next year. And at Rivermill, we're expecting 80 kindergartners, and at Clackamas River, we're expecting 40 kindergartners. So this should be a good data example of just the continued disparity that's occurring between Rivermill and Clackamas River in terms of kid population. And this is why we had to have a conversation about what reconfiguration might look like. At the secondary level, and by the way, interrupt me anytime if you have questions or anything of that nature. I'm happy to clarify. At the secondary level, we run at a 30 student to 1 teacher ratio, although we have a different algorithm because at the middle school and high school, they have a bell schedule, meaning they teach multiple periods in a certain content level. And so at Estacada Middle School, we project next year it's going to have 496 students. So here's how we do this. 496 divided by 30. They have 7 class periods, so we can put kids into 7 different class periods. So it's 496 divided by 30 times 7, but the teachers only teach 6 of those 7 class periods. They have a prep period inside of that as well. So then we divide that by 6, and that's our class size algorithm. And using that algorithm determines that we need 19 certified teachers at Estacada Middle School. That's 1 additional one next year than what we currently have this year. In Estacada High School, we use the same algorithm. We're expecting 611 kids at Estacada High School. This is the first time we've been over 600 kids since maybe Chelsea was in high school. We had a pretty big dip really from the 2008 crash, and now those kids are now this age. And people moved out in the 2008 crash is my point. But so that age group has now aged into this, which means our student population has fallen at that level. So while elementary students are bursting at the seams, our high school has actually been relatively small the last 4 or 5 years because of those small numbers and cohorts. That being said, we also run DCLA, that's our alternative school. It stands for Deep Creek Learning Academy. Our students named that this year. We rented storefront in downtown Estacada, ultimately offering an alternative opportunity for kids who voluntarily don't want to be a part of the one-size-fits-all public education model. They want to learn at their own pace. They want a different approach. They want to work. They want to do other things. And so we have capped 50 students to be in that program for next year, and we think that will be full. And then this is next year is going to be the third year of our full-time CCC program, Clackamas Community College. And we've budgeted money and cap space for 35 students to attend Clackamas Community College full-time. And so this is a great opportunity. We had high demand from our parents, but our parents wanted more college credit opportunities. And so this was a direct pathway to ensure that kids had the ability to graduate with their associate's degree and their high school diploma all at the same time. And so since next year is the third year, this program starts when they're 11th graders, if they want to be in it, and it's a very rigorous selection process because we never want to send a kid to a college course where they're doomed to fail immediately, because there's harm inside of that as well. And so we have a process that our counselors at the high school go through. And this year, because it's the second year, so the first cohort is graduating this year, we're going to have 11 students walk across Estacada High School to receive their high school diploma and their associate's degree, something we're very excited about. And the school district pays 100% of the tuition. And so kids who are a part of this program ultimately get 2 free years of college if they go through this process. And it's just been a tremendous win for us. And if we didn't offer this, these 35 kids would go to a charter school or would go somewhere else because that's what their demand is. So our ability to be agile and offer different experiences rather than just the traditional high school setting has really allowed us to retain our students while also growing at the same fashion.
Is that done here at the high school, or are they going to the college?
On campus, yep, and we run buses 3 times a day to the campus for kids who can't drive themselves there, and it's been really successful, yep. But we still allow them to play sports and participate in those kind of things, yep. So breaking all that down, we expect 526 kids at Estacada High School proper next year. You use the algorithm, that's 21 teachers that we need. We also get some additional career technical education funding from the state of Oregon, which pays for 2 people. And next year, we're going to be introducing a brand new career technical education strand in electrical engineering. And we're partnering with PGE, M2 Integration, and a few other private companies to really try to build a career pathway from Estacada High School straight to an industry that has tremendous needs in the electrical field, and we're very excited about that. So that's another addition, ultimately equaling 24 teachers at Estacada High School next year, which is 3 more than we currently have this year. Any questions on class size and ratio? I really wanted to be intentional to let you know that class size is something that we start with our budget on to make sure that we can keep our class sizes down. And that's not the same way that a lot of other school districts do it who have big class sizes.
That was actually one of my questions, is there are state and guidelines, is do we lower the number of students? And what is that number, I guess, that the state requires?
Yeah, we actually go with what is, the state has yet to like officially legally require anything. Union organizations, teacher union organizations are really working hard at the bargaining table right now to really force us into that and really pay financial penalties to teachers and employees if it goes above the cap space. What we're going off of is the research's national recommendations. And so this is what's recommended nationally, and this is where we start at. I'm a little bit hesitant, just being the CEO of this organization, to put something into language that could harm us in the future when funding or economy goes down. But that being said, the reason why I wanted to point this out is good years or bad years, this is how we start every budget to make sure we have teachers supporting kids, because that's our #1 priority. And so class size does start with that. But there is not at this moment any legal obligations to do so, which is why you see the North Clackamas School District in the 40s in some classes and some of those. And they're a great school district. I'm just using them as an example. Yeah.
Where are these projected kindergarten numbers coming from? The new development out by,
Yeah, the growth is really in that direction, but we have, this is gonna be a non-scientific, scientific model that we've used, and it's been really effective for us the last 6 years. But every year we have what's called the kindergarten roundup, and so all the families come to like register their kids and go through the process. And how we've established the 80 and the 40 is we had 40 families show up to Rivermill, and so we typically just double that. Because at the end of the day, that's how it, people usually like come like a week before school starts and are like, hey, we're here, like we're signing up. And so we just double who showed up to the kindergarten roundup.
is there not a way we can distribute those numbers evenly? Because they're kindergartners?
It's tricky because in a lot of cases, we have families who already have kids at Rivermill Elementary School. And so it's really tough and difficult for us to say, hey, thanks, but you now go over here. The other issue that we've occurred, I want to say 100 times now, at least in my years of being the superintendent, is when we tell them they're going there, they either lie about their addresses or they use their grandparents' address or an uncle's address to verify that they actually live in the system. And so it's just difficult. And even if you evened it out this year, you're uneven again next year. And so you're just always continually playing that game to balance it out. And, once a kid starts at Clackamas River, even though they live in the Rivermill boundary and they go through Clackamas River, like when the next sibling comes in, like it's just a really tough game to play.
How easily can we attract good quality educators to the district?
Right.
Is that a problem?
It's not at the moment. I would have said it was 7 years ago. Right now, because of some of our national recognition and just the things that we're doing in our school district, we're actually becoming a destination place for educators to go. And on top of that, because so many other school districts are laying off millions of dollars worth of people in their budgets, people are getting laid off. And so any opening we have right now is the most competitive I have ever seen it. Here's a couple examples. We just had a vice principal opening at Clackamas River Elementary School. Within 48 hours, we had 38 people apply for that position. We opened up a second grade teacher at Clackamas River Elementary School, and within 48 hours, we had 27 teachers apply for that. And so we are not short right now of good people moving in. Yeah, it's a great position for us to be in right now. Any other questions? Okay, so current class size ratio as of today, Clackamas River right now is at a 22.8 child to teacher ratio. Our largest class at Clackamas River is a teacher that has 27 kids, and our smallest classes have 18 kids. At Rivermill Elementary School, it's at 26.1. We have a fifth grade teacher with 31 kids, and smallest classes at 22 kids. And this is where Rivermill continues to present a problem for us, and not a problem in a bad way, but the problem that we've experienced in the last 2 years is throughout the school year, more and more families just move in the middle of the year. So while we start our budget at 25-1, our issue right now is we have so many families moving into our community mid-year that there's just a constant leak of more and more kids coming into the process. And so one of the things that I've learned this year that is a mistake I will own personally is probably around December or January, we probably should have looked at these numbers and hired an additional teacher at Rivermill Elementary School to keep the class sizes down, because I never want to see a fifth grade class that has 31 kids in it, but we're just booming at Rivermill Elementary School, which is another precipice of why we need to reconfigure our system to really allow equality throughout all of the school districts to really make the load more even when it comes to that. At the secondary level, we look at caseload, because like I told you, teachers teach 6 out of 7 periods. So if you're teaching 6 periods of 30 kids in there, your caseload should really be about 180 total students. At Estacada Middle School, we're running at 142 right now, and at Estacada High School, we're running at 135. So our class sizes, with the exception of Rivermill, are really in good shape. And again, it's because of how we start our budget and how we work through that process. Additions to the budget, because I told you our budget is up 3.2% next year, or roughly a little over $2 million. I just want to share the things that we're going to add to our budget in order to really utilize every dollar of the taxpayer to support its children. And I'm going to start on the upper right-hand corner with things. Because one of the things that's entirely out of our control is our PERS, which is the public retirement system. We had an additional $1.4 million of increases to the retirement system, and that basically ate half of the new money that we're receiving. And this isn't necessarily the PERS of our current employees. These are the PERS of, like my father, the Tier 1 people who have already retired, and they're living a long and healthy life. And so ultimately, that just continues to get more and more expensive, and that's just entirely out of our control, but we're still obligated to pay for that. And so half of our additions was eaten up in PERS without anything else. We did add 15% to liability insurance, 10% to just lights, water, electricity, $25,000 for bus diesel costs. We are a 750 square mile school district. We're the largest school district in Clackamas County by square miles. So obviously our diesel prices are big, and we're preparing for that. And then also we needed to increase our middle school and athletic budgets. We just created the women's flag football program and the men's volleyball program, who just won the state championship 2 days ago, which is very cool. Also we're bringing back some middle school sports and opportunities, just because we want to continue to be a place where kids have multiple extracurricular opportunities to participate in, and that's in arts and athletics. And when I say arts, I mean music and choir as well as drama. We have a great music department. People, I'm just going to go through this quickly. We're adding 7 part-time kindergarten paras. One of the things our kindergarten teachers told us is they need help at the beginning of the year as they acclimate new students into behaviors, routines, all of the above. And so we're supporting our kindergarten teachers by providing them additional supports. We're adding a director of finance position this year. We've had that in the past, but we tried a new model this current year, and it didn't work in the way we wanted it to. We're adding the CTE teacher, electrical systems, which I talked to you about. We're adding an English teacher and a math teacher at Estacada High School and a math teacher at Estacada Middle School. I told you we were adding 2 teachers to Rivermill Elementary School based on growth. We're adding an assistant director of teaching and learning to support a lot of the state compliance, as well as to help lead the career technical education overhaul that we're in the process of going through right now. And then we're adding a halftime grounds person and a halftime custodial person. The more we grow, the more portables we get, just the more space we need to help clean things. And then in terms of reductions, and so some of the things that we're reducing offset the cost of the things we're adding. Like, for example, I told you we are reducing 2 Clackamas River elementary teachers because the students aren't there. And so basically we're taking those 2 teachers and moving them to Rivermill. So that's a cost-neutral move for our school district. We deleted a 1 full-time improvement coach, and that's what the money for that we're using to offset the cost of the assistant director of teaching and learning. And then we are not continuing with the executive director of operations, and we're using that to pay for the director of finance. So there is some things that we're doing to offset some of these additions in a cost-neutral way. Questions on that? In my 7 years of serving as the superintendent, the school district has grown 17%. We're the fastest growing school district in Clackamas County and in the Portland metro area. And on top of that, we are the fastest growing city in the entire state of Oregon, #1 by percentage population. And so, as you know, our growth is definitely here to stay. And so I just wanted to really point that out. I'm going to move quickly to our strategic plan. This was created by the citizens of Estacada and ratified by the Executive School Board of Directors. This is truly our compass of how we measure and move and make decisions. And this is where we've become a nationally recognized school district, because the accolades and the accomplishments by really sticking to doing what we said we would do through the strategic plan has really transformed who this school district is. It's no longer the old Estacada School District. We're doing quite amazing. This is the third of 5 years of our strategic plan, and during that time, we've been recognized 5 years in a row as one of Oregon's top workplaces, recognized by our employees. We've won both state and national recognition and certificates for our clean audit and financial management. I was named personally the National Difference Maker of the Year by Studer Education. And while, again, that bears my name, that's a recognition of really this entire school district and the incredible work that we're doing. And so we really have done a tremendous job in these three years of our 5-year strategic plan. If you turn it to the next page, I want to run through our scorecard with you. And this is something that I will bring to you twice a year. Because this is how we hold ourselves accountable to the community of doing the things that the community wants our school district to be. And so you will not find our school district making political statements just because that's what's cool to do. You will not see our school district looking for shiny objects or doing the next trend or fad. We anchor ourselves to this mission, vision, and values, and we stay extremely consistent and predictable with that. But at the same time, we measure ourselves through benchmarks established by the community to make sure we're on track in that process. So if you look at the top one, our number one thing on the scorecard is successful students. And the most important thing that we need to do is ensure that our students are having tremendous results in the classroom. There is no score here yet because, like I told you, we're in the middle of state testing, and so I don't have data to report. Well, I do have some data to report, but we haven't met that mark yet. This goal, I do want to say, is aspirational at 100%, and we believe in that. That's our core value. We truly want every kid to be successful inside our organization. But over the last 5 years, we have made tremendous gains, and I'm excited to share that we're already seeing some unofficial data of our language arts and reading and test scores, and we're seeing some of the biggest gains this year that we've had in our school district's history. They're in the double-digit gains right now, and we are far exceeding the state average when it comes to that. And so we're very excited about what we're getting ready to report to our community about the growth of our kids and their learning trajectory. But it is illegal for me to say it at the moment, and so we'll have to wait until that data is publicly released for all to see. If you go down the list, the next thing is successful students. And this is really how we collect student voice to make sure that we're offering a school system that our children really enjoy being at, feel safe to be at, etc. And so we use a nationally normed survey from Studer Education, and so this is a survey that's used across the United States of America. In fact, when Helena Snyder was a school board member, she was one of the people who voted for this and approved this, and it's been a game changer for us. It's out of a 5-point scale. So this last spring, a year ago today, so 12 months ago, our students scored their experience or satisfaction in the Estacada School District a 3.85 out of 5. They just took this survey about a month ago, would you say? A month ago, and they scored us a 3.86. Our goal this year, in red in the column in the middle, was to score a 3.95. So we fell short of our goal, our 12-month goal, but we did see a slight improvement in there, and so that's why it's marked yellow. It improved, but we did not meet our goal. However, there's actually a win inside of this, because for the last 3 consecutive years, this score has been declining. And so the fact that we were able to hold our ground and slightly improve tells me that some of the work that we're doing with our anti-bullying campaigns, making students feel welcome, and students treating each other nicely, those are all 3 scores that improved this year. ultimately correlating to we held our ground. When it comes to employee engagement and employee satisfaction, I told you that we've been readily recognized by our employees as a great place to work. A year ago, our employees scored us a 4.08 out of 5. Our goal was to score a 4.13 this year, and our employees scored us a 4.23. So we exceeded our expectations of really trying to be a place people are proud to say that they work. And this goes back to your question, Mr. Cross, about employee satisfaction and that destination place. I mean, we've got a lot of people clamoring to come work for us right now, which is awesome, and we get to be selective about who gets to come and work with our kids in our community. Parent satisfaction is one that we deeply monitor and work very hard to build great relationships, because we want to be an organization where parents are proud to send their children each and every single day. 12 months ago, that scored a 3.84 out of 5. Our goal was to score a 3.94, and these are nationally normed, meaningful movements, and so we get told what goal we need to create in order to hit those marks through the survey process. But we scored a 4.01, so really for the second time ever in us measuring this from the voices of our parents, we're 4 stars out of 5, and I'm really pleased with that growth, and we're going to continue to keep working on that. Customer service or district service, we obviously want to be a best-in-class customer service organization. We scored a 4.65 last year, 12 months ago. However, the nationally normed data or research or science, however you want to say it, says that once you get to the 4.4 levels, really your objective is just to try to maintain that. I don't know if any of you are scored on a ranking system or not, but it's harder than hell to keep the good scores good. And so really trying to maintain that is one of the biggest challenges that we have. I'm happy to report that we scored a 4.45 this year, so we're still in that excellent range, and we're exceeding that. However, it did drop by 0.2, and so I'm excited to take the next 12 months to really investigate how we can continue to improve our customer service to the people who use it most. And last but not least, the question that we ask our employees is that they feel like the organizational level resources are allocated appropriately and effectively. This scored a 3.85 last year. Our goal was 3.95, and we scored a 3.91. So again, this is an example of growth, but we didn't quite meet our goal. However, I would like to just say transparently that we are the only school district in the Portland metro area not laying off tens of millions of dollars worth of people. So I do think this should be a 5 this year, but I understand too that a lot of people have opinions on should we purchase turf, should we replace the wires in the roof, and each person has their own opinion when it comes to those things. And when they don't see their things invested in, obviously that correlates to the scores as well, and I understand that and recognize that. Any questions on the scorecard? This is how we transparently hold ourselves accountable. Okay then, I'm going to skip this part just so we can talk about reconfiguration. Because this is going to be, and as a member of the RISE committee, this is going to be one of the hottest topics that you're going to work through as well as we process these processes. And good luck in the music concert tonight. Break a leg. So first of all, I just want to say that the reconfiguration of our schools is not going to occur next year. It's going to occur in the 26-27 school year. So next year will be exactly the same as it was this current school year. But that's important to note because when we talk about reconfiguration, anxiety levels typically rise in concern that we're doing this in 3 months, but we're doing it in 14 months. So we've got plenty of time to make sure we get it right and communicate effectively. The board's decision was to turn Rivermill Elementary School into a kindergarten through 2nd grade, Clackamas River into a 3rd through 4th grade, Estacada Middle School in a 5th through 6th grade, and to move 7th and 8th graders into a separate wing of the high school and to make it a 7 through 12. The reason why we're doing this is we don't love this model either. And while we think it's best for kids in the context of what we have right now, I just want to transparently say, both to the RISE committee and to the public who are watching, that this is not a fix-all process. There are many cons with this as there are pros, and we recognize that and understand that as well. But the problem we're trying to solve is a growth and capacity issue. So Rivermill Elementary School right now, today, has 521 kids in it, and that's not counting the 30 kids in our pre-K program. So really, Rivermill Elementary School has 551 kids in it, which makes it effectively larger than Estacada High School as it is today. The capacity of that building can only hold 500. And so Rivermill Elementary School right now is over capacity. Clackamas River Elementary School is at 435, just 20 kids away from being over capacity. Estacada Middle School had 1 student enroll on Tuesday, and so they're now at 451 and officially over capacity. Estacada High School, however, because it was built in the logging days of the 1960s, has the capacity for 950 kids, but there's only 536 kids in it today. So the reason why we have to make this shift is because this is the only place with room for growth. And this is why we need to start moving students in this direction. And I would rather have 7th and 8th graders come into this vacant building different than kindergartners and 1st graders. And so just by natural progression, this is the only place that we're sitting in right now that can hold kids. And so with this reconfiguration model, using today's numbers, because it's difficult to predict what 2 years will look like for now in our school district, Rivermill Elementary School in that K2 model will have 451 kids in it. The Clackamas River Elementary School with all 3rd graders and all 4th graders will have 332 kids. 5th and 6th graders will have 352 kids. And Estacada High School and 7th and 8th grade middle school separately will have 824 kids. So there'll be 288 7th and 8th graders and 536 9th through 12th graders. And so this ultimately and effectively fixes temporarily our growth and capacity problem. But if you see the number at the bottom there, we can only have 2,350 students, and then we are completely maxed out, and we're at 1943 right now. So I would predict that within the next 5 years, we will not have room for anybody, and we'll be slamming portables everywhere we can go to accommodate that growth. Questions?
Is this structure set for only 1 year, or do you have
It's set for the foreseeable future. Yep,
once it starts, that's
yep,
what it's gonna be?
correct. Yep,
If the school board is interested in putting kids like 3rd and 4th graders, 5th and 6th, what would be the issue with just configuration of the lines of where Clackamas River goes
Yep.
versus Rivermill?
yeah, that's
Why
a,
can't we just
yep, that's an excellent
distribute?
question, for sure. And we had a committee of parents and citizens who really were the ones who proposed this to the school board. And the issue with redrawing the boundary is when you redraw the boundary to affect like today's situation with the new developments and capacities going in that direction, it's a shorter term solve than putting all kindergartners in one building and all 3rd graders in one building, because the growth in that side is going to continue. And so in 3 years, we'll have to redraw again.
Well, like you just said though, right, put up portables. If we go to capacity, why wouldn't we do that for our students? So like, for instance, I
Yeah.
mean, I've talked to people in the
Yeah.
community before I came here specifically about this topic,
For
because
sure.
I've seen your guys' videos on
Yeah.
the internet.
Yeah,
And
Thank you.
the concern, like, and I feel like it's valid. I mean,
yes,
you have a kindergartner, you have a 4th grader, so you have a 6th grader in a high school.
yes.
Everybody has the same start and stop time, so one person is supposed to go to 4 different schools to pick up all their kids, if that's what they do
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So what's like the plan with parents and like siblings? I
Yes.
mean, you know,
Yep.
one of my kids is a 4th grader, one's a kindergartner. Like, does the kindergartner go by herself in the school and then the other
Right.
one goes, so like
Yeah.
stuff like.
And I've gotten probably 80 of those emails, so
Yeah.
I'm with you in that concern and consent, and it's a valid concern as well. My answer back to that is, if right now the middle school and both elementary schools start and release at the same time, our intention in this new model is to have K2 through 5-6 start and stop at the same time, and 7-12 would end at a different time. So in your example, it is true that parents may have to pick up kids at 3 different schools, but the kindergartner and 4th grader, the kindergartner won't have to walk by themselves because that whole group will be starting and stopping at the same time. But those are some of the logistics that we need 14 months to work out, is there a different spot where parents can just come through to collect kids? But in the example that you give also with a kindergartner and a 4th grader, at some point, it's just inevitable you're gonna have kids in multiple schools. And so the reality of picking people up in multiple schools is just the truth, no matter how the configuration is.
Right, but I mean, as a school board, if we can limit a parent having to go to multiple locations, if it's within our capacity, like you said, putting
Yeah.
up portables, why wouldn't we just utilize that option?
Because it's not the best option for learning. It's a security and a safety threat because you've got kids outside of the confines of logistics. It's not an ideal learning situation for kindergartners to have to walk from a portable to go to the gymnasium. There's just a lot of factors with portables that are not ideal.
We're also running out of capacity in the common learning spaces, like our cafeteria, gym,
Yeah.
bathrooms. It's kind of like remodeling a house and adding on bedrooms, but not expanding
Nobody goes to the
living room,
bathroom at the same
kitchen.
time, and then I know the kids like layer their lunches, so there's things that we could do,
Sure.
like, and like brainstorm a little bit more to like, what is gonna be honestly the best option for the community versus what's gonna be better for us as a school district to make it easier for us in the future.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
like-
no, I hear you, but at the same time, the school board has made the decision, and so our charge now is to find a way to make it work. So boundaries is no longer on the table. This is the direction that we're headed, and so we're hoping that we can get some help in problem solving some of the very things that you bring to the table. Yeah,
I do have a question.
yeah.
I know this is a temporary thing that we're talking about, the reconfiguration. What is the timeline on proposing another bond? Because this seems like a very, very temporary
Yes.
situation.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want to answer that?
We really don't currently have a timeline, but as we see how pressing the issues are, the conversations have been coming up a lot more. I think we need to do more community outreach to find a package or price point that our community realistically can support. We've floated several different packages and 3 failed bond campaigns over the past 10 years. So more community outreach to see if there is a package that our community will support, because the last bond package, the margin with which it failed was considerable. If it had been a smaller margin, it would be, no question, we're gonna go back out, but because it was such a large margin, it takes resources to put together a bond campaign, so that does make us a little hesitant, but we know that the need is there, so those conversations are happening.
Did we do any, sorry.
No,
Did we do
yeah.
any feedback right after the bond to see like what the
Great
pressing
question.
issues were that made people say no?
So we have hired expert companies to come in and do polling within our community. They poll and do phone banking within our community, and the price point was definitely a concern. Anti-public school concerns was a concern. And we polled our community to ask them if they would support a no tax increase bond, because we were thinking about going out for that this past year, and even that didn't get enough support in polling for us to feel comfortable putting it on the ballot. So even though price point is one of the biggest concerns, even a no tax increase bond didn't alleviate our community's concerns enough to feel comfortable putting a bond on the ballot.
From a community member that was actually, didn't have a child in school at the time. And like when I received the stuff in the mail from the bond, I'm gonna be honest with you, I received one paper.
That's good
And
feedback.
I received a paper that said, your taxes are gonna increase if we do this bond by this much.
Yeah.
There was no communication about the specifics of it's not going to increase 8% on what you're currently paying, right? It's gonna be the overall. And I think the communication from the school board to the community was lacking in that part specifically, is why people are like, no, I don't want 8% on top of what I'm paying already, for what? That, I think, was the miss between the school board and the community. I think proposing a new bond would be a fantastic idea, because now people understand exactly what entails with it, because I don't know. I had to like research stuff myself, and like I said, I only had that one little pamphlet front and back that I got in the mail. And that's not just from me, that's from multiple community members that I've spoke to. There was no campaigning that we saw in regards to this will be beneficial for you because of X, Y, and Z. All they saw was, oh my gosh, they want to build this mega school and add to our taxes.
Well,
I
let
mean,
me- let me
we're
put your
in
mo-
our area too, you know,
Right.
you gotta dumb it down.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't know. I've never been, I mean, at the beginning of this meeting, I didn't know what second hand meant or raise your, like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not common knowledge for everybody, and it may be for some of us in this room, and I think really just like explaining it, like
Yeah.
start to finish for everybody in a way that the community will understand.
Yeah.
I think, and then I guarantee you a lot more people will be pressed to accepting a bond versus doing this for long term.
You realize that you're volunteering yourself for many things.
Yeah.
That's
does
fine. I
sound
would,
like
I mean,
that.
it's important. It's our community. I've lived here my entire life, so I was here before it was inclusive or anything like that, or, you know, so it's important.
Yeah.
It does sound like a lot of this is very intricate. And I know over at City Council, they had like a civics committee that they did, where they were educating people.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever thought about that for this side, maybe for the community? Because it
Yeah.
does seem like, just as somebody who's fairly new to the community, that there were a lot of rumors and misinformation
Yeah.
that was being spread online. I thought you guys actually ran a really good campaign.
Thank you.
Just from the lives and
Yeah.
the town halls and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many other people actually tuned into that.
Right.
And so maybe if we really were intentional about educating people,
Yeah.
then maybe we could get more people on board, because this is
Yeah.
super important. When I'm looking at these numbers, it gives me anxiety.
Me too.
Because personally, I want my kids to be educated
Yeah.
in the best possible circumstances
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people want that. They just,
Yes.
they get nervous because they don't understand the jargon and the lingo.
Yes, I agree with that. Thank you for that. Yeah.
And I will say sometimes the inconvenience sometimes change people's mind,
Yes.
because this looked like an inconvenience. I can
Yep.
tell you right now, I'll be going to 3 different schools at the same time.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes inconvenience will make people say, hey, do you want this inconvenience or do you want to pay the money?
Exactly.
And so I say the data from this may help the campaign.
Yeah.
Because what I'm sitting here saying, is y'all need to build new schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is a Band-Aid.
Yes.
And as
Yep.
a nurse, when you put a Band-Aid on a wound, you only stop the blood for 2 seconds.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's gushing out. So
Yep.
this is just a Band-Aid.
We agree with that. Yeah. Yep. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, here are the things, as Chelsea was mentioning, that we've got 14 months to figure out, because even though this is a Band-Aid and this is not ideal, but it is what it is, we still want to maintain excellent service and quality education to all of our students. And so some of the things, and this is more of internal issues than they are external issues, but things like who is going to teach what class, what teacher is moving from Clackamas River to Rivermill Elementary School and vice versa. What are those classroom locations? What side of the high school is the 7th and 8th grade, to make sure that we do a good job of separating from Estacada High School? What do the transportation logistics look like? Parent pickup is a hot topic in terms of that. What about the high school office space? As many of you know, the current high school office is in the center of the school, and as long as I've been here, I've had major safety concerns with that, because as you know, as you walk into the high school, you have to walk through the commons in order to get to the main office, and all of our children are vulnerable to whoever walks in just to get to the office, and so we really need to use this opportunity to move the office to the front. And what does that look like? Library usage, and again, an example at Estacada High School, we have the commons, which is a beautiful space, but that's the high school space. And so what is a space that is separate that 7th and 8th graders can go to be able to just be 7th and 8th graders with each other? And right now, we're thinking about our current library as a potential spot to house the 7th and 8th graders, but that needs to look different than what it currently looks like now in order to pull that off. What do the student movements look like in here to make sure that the bell schedules are different, so that when high school kids move from class to class, that is different than when the 7th and 8th grade kids move from class to class. Lunch logistics, support services, and gym usage. You know, one of the other things that's very problematic, Daryl, like you were talking about, is we only have 3 gyms between the middle school and the high school, and we're trying to get every kid PE every day. And so we're short when it comes to the PE logistics as well. How do we support high school and middle school athletics all being here in one campus? Our counseling services, and what additional people do we need to hire in order to make that work as well? And that has budgetary implications as well. Do we need an additional vice principal here to help support students? Do we need just additional services like another music teacher to support that process as well? And so what I am proud of is the school board making a decision last month, which really gives us as much time as possible to try to get these things right. And we'll be utilizing you, the RISE committee, to bring some of these ideas to make sure that they reflect your values as well, and your opinions of how to execute this. And so I'm very excited to be able to have this committee and to be able to lean on this committee as we say, here's what we're thinking, like how does that sound to you from not only a parent perspective, but as a representative of the community, to make sure that we're offering the right services to all people. So I just wanted to share that. So that's my final slide of this. But again, I thought it was appropriate to catch you up to speed, even though I'm 17 minutes over. And I'll do that a lot to you, by the way.
We contributed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was a good back and forth conversation. But these are the hot topics that we're working through when it comes to budget, contractual, holding ourselves accountable to the strategic plan, and being very transparent about that. And then the big one in the room, and that's the reconfiguration.
Reconfiguration is the answer to the community won't support a bond, actually.
Yeah.
Therefore, that was the answer to
Yeah.
what the bond would
I
have
mean,
solved.
the problem didn't go away,
No.
even though the community
Right.
voted no. And so the problem now lies in our lap, and we've got to figure out a way to make it work.
I know you say that, but I don't think the community realizes it's in
Yeah.
our lap too.
Yeah, yes,
Because we can give up that extra hamburger to make sure my child has a good classroom. We
Amen.
should do it.
yep, amen, yeah.
As long as we keep the fries, right?
Yeah, you're right. You gotta have
Keep
fries.
the fries. Awesome. Okay, so with that being said, Chelsea, unless there's anything else, maybe we can move to just closing remarks. Unless you all have anything else, or if there's anything else in the agenda that you feel like you need to address or go through, or if there's any other questions about the process of the RISE committee.
How the district will stay in touch over the summer. Do you mind going over that?
Yeah,
Great one. So over the upcoming days, I'll be in touch with you and with our technology team to get you a district email that you can keep in contact with us. Of course, in the interim, I'll keep emailing the email we have on file for you, and we'll make sure that you have a district email, get you on the website, and we'll also talk about the schedule for the next meeting. I'd like to ideally have a monthly meeting that's the same day of the month each month, but until we kind of figure out what schedule works for everyone, we'll just send out a poll and figure out what will work for our June meeting. We'll skip July, and then we'll be back in August, hopefully with a set monthly schedule for everyone.
And the why behind July too, just in case anyone says like, hey, you're on this, but you're not doing it in July. Like our board of directors typically recesses is the appropriate word in July. And the reason why is all of you, including our board, like you're some of the most involved people in our school district, and you need an opportunity to take a vacation or just do something with your family as well. And so this is why we typically don't do anything in July, is because we want you to have the opportunity to just enjoy the summer as well. But then when we come back in August, we'll be getting right after it. Yeah.
One last thing is we will be sending you plenty of information. And as our meetings become more formal, we will be sending you the agenda ahead of time. And the information like you got tonight, we will be sending that ahead of time as well. So you can take additional time to look at it, formulate your questions ahead of time, and really have a robust conversation when we get to the table. So you can expect that from us ahead of each meeting from here on out.
And in conclusion, we just didn't want this to be an empty committee where you wonder if this is even worth your time. Like, our plan is to put you to work, and I hope that you can see the transparency and the things that I'm trying to preview of things coming to you very soon. So I value this, and I want it to be something that you're proud to be a part of and that you feel like you're being appropriately worked. So, yeah. Okay. Chelsea, next time we'll have a gavel for you, but you can
Deal.
just pound your fist on the thing and we are done.
I don't know how to use it, but I'll try.
It's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Great job.
Thank you.